Hi, 8th grade historians. In this video, we will be doing a first read of Document A, War Message from President Polk, to try to understand what it's all about. Before we start reading, we should always take some time to look at what text features stand out. What do you notice about the way this document looks? I noticed that this document gives us the source at the top, as well as some background information that gives context for the source. I also see this part at the top that says to the Senate and the House of Representatives. It looks like a letter. I see a bunch of footnotes. This means that these little numbers correspond to numbers at the bottom or the foot of the page. I can find definitions for tricky words down here. I noticed that this document has 4 short paragraphs. And at the bottom, I also see a note about the war votes in Congress, how many senators and representatives voted on the war. Next, let's source this document using our sourcing table. Follow along as I read the description at the top, and then we'll fill out the table after. Document A, War Message from President Polk. Source, War Message of President James Polk, Washington, May 11th, 1846. The following speech was delivered to Congress by President James Polk after Americans died at what was later named the Thornton Affair. You should already be thinking about the who, what, where, when questions, and so let's go to the sourcing table. The first question asks, what type of document is this? I can find that information in the title and in the source. This is a war message. Question 2 asks who created it. We're in luck again. It gives us the name right here in the title. President James Polk gave this war message. Question 3 asks where this document was created. We're in luck again because it tells us right in the source at the top too, Washington. For question 4, it again explicitly tells us the date, May 11th, 1846. As a bonus, you may have caught some more detail about when this war message was given when I read the context blurb at the top. This was given right after Americans died in the Thornton Affair. This little bit of context might help me understand the source better and understand why people made the decisions that they made. For question 5, it asks, who was this written for? Look at the context at the top, and you'll see who President Polk was delivering this war message to. Congress. And we've completed the sourcing document. Some will be easier than others. This one had a lot of information already at the top. But thinking about the perspective and context for each document will always help you understand primary sources like this one. For example, knowing that this was written right after several Americans died might help you better understand why the congressmen voted the way they did after this war message. As we read the whole document, think about the sourcing and the big question, was the U.S. justified in going to war with Mexico? Does this document support the claim that the U.S. was justified in going to war? Or does it support the claim that the U.S. was not justified in going to war with Mexico? Document A, War Message from President Polk. Source, War Message of President James Polk, Washington, May 11th, 1846. The following speech was delivered to Congress by President James Polk after Americans died at what was later named the Thornton Affair. To the Senate and House of Representatives, I informed you that I had ordered a military force to take a position between the Nueces River and the Rio Grande. It had become necessary to meet a threatened invasion of Texas by the Mexican forces. The invasion was threatened solely because Texas had determined to annex. And there's a footnote there. Annex means add itself to a larger country. So Texas had determined to annex herself to our union. There's another footnote. Our union was referring to the United States of America. I'm going to go back a little bit. The invasion was threatened solely because Texas had determined to annex herself to our union, and under these circumstances, it was plainly our duty to extend our protection over her citizens and soil. The Congress of Texas, by its act of December 19, 1836, had declared the Rio Grande to be the border of that republic. There's a footnote. Republic means a state or territory with its own government. The land between that river and the Rio Grande is now included within our country. It became, therefore, the urgent necessity to provide for the protection of that portion of our country. On the 24th of April, a group of 63 men and officers were dispatched from the American camp up the Rio Grande on its north bank to determine whether the Mexican troops had crossed or were preparing to cross the river, the border of our country. The men became engaged with a large body of these Mexican troops, and after a short affair, some 16 Americans were killed and wounded, appearing to have been surrounded and compelled to surrender. We have tried every effort at reconciliation. And the footnote, reconciliation means restore friendly relations between. So we have tried every effort at reconciliation. The cup of forbearance, footnote, cup of forbearance is an expression referring to the capacity of enduring hardship or inconvenience without complaint. The cup of forbearance has been exhausted even before the recent information from the frontier of the Rio Grande. But now, Mexico has passed the boundary of the United States, has invaded our territory, and shed American blood upon the American soil. Note: War vote by Congress, May 13, 1846. U.S. Senate, 40 yes, 2 no. House of Representatives, 174 yes, 14 no.